But we had a lot of stuff today, Kim. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Diddy's former assistant was forced up there.
A pill bottle with Barack Obama's face on it. That's just one of the jaw-dropping revelations to come out of Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing legal firestorm. According to new testimony, what was once whispered behind closed doors is now being aired out in a courtroom. And it's nothing short of bizarre. From alleged drug use to disturbing party protocols, each new detail adds weight to a growing narrative of chaos and control. But why Obama's face? What's really behind that strange image? The deeper you look, the more unsettling it becomes.
Again, Sean Diddy Combs has moved into its seventh day of testimony. Today, the former personal assistant to Mr. Combs, David James, returned to the stand. Jurors also heard from the mother of singer Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. He has pleaded not guilty to all of those charges. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas is outside of the courthouse in New York City. Chloe, walk us through what has happened in court so far today.
Yeah, so Ellison, you talked about David James. He is somebody who worked for 2 years for Combs as a personal assistant, and he really pulled back the curtain on what it's like to work for someone like Combs. He said that sometimes his days would be 20 hours at a time, and he would work 21 days in succession with no breaks. And he talked about how he knew that he was signing up for a tough job, but he also talked about how Combs allegedly had him...
Think about that, man. Working 20-hour days, 21 days straight with no break. Think about the stuff he has heard and seen. Think about all this is what I was talking about. This is what I've been waiting for. Because, you know, I know a lot of people are quiet because they probably were going to testify. And then there's people who are quiet because, you know, they're trying not to get on Diddy's bad side, allegedly. But this right here, I said bodyguards and drivers, and of course, personal assistants. These are the people who know the most, seen the most. Wow, that's, boy.
So have him get prescriptions under his own name.
Okay, so, sorry. I don't know if I can mention all the stuff he would get for Diddy, you know, stuff for Diddy to put in his body, but they were just saying that that's what he was doing. He was the one that was getting this stuff and saying that, you know, now they're getting into the racketeering and all that. Because people were like talking about Cassie saying all of this, yes, is DV, but this is not what he's on trial for. And hey, but wait, there's more. Now we starting to get into it. They said they were just laying the platform down.
So let's break this down. Why would a pill bottle have Barack Obama's smiling face on it? That's the question everyone's been asking since David James, Diddy's former assistant, took the stand. James testified that during his time working with Diddy, pill bottles were never far from reach. But one stood out, a bottle allegedly bearing the image of the 44th president. No prescription label, no explanation, just Obama's face. It wasn't hidden. According to James, Diddy carried it openly, as if it were a badge of status or symbolism. He didn't say what was in it, nor did he suggest it was illegal. But the bizarre specificity of the detail left the courtroom in stunned silence. Observers whispered, "Is he serious?" While legal analysts suggested this strange anecdote, though unverified, might help build a psychological portrait, one that paints Diddy as unpredictable, maybe even unstable. There's no photo, no physical proof, just one man's word. But with memes and media already running wild, it's clear the Obama pill is more than just a detail. It's a symbol of something deeper, stranger, and possibly darker. And this is only the beginning. Because James's next revelation left the courtroom even more shaken.
We had a lot of stuff today, Kim. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Diddy's former assistant was forced up there. We had Cassie's mom take the stand. The Punisher stepped up and got up in there. And then we had a HSI agent from National Security, Homeland Special Agent, who was responsible for the planning. And then we had a tease at the end, a big name coming tomorrow, it sounds like. Whoo! All right, we're going to get through it all,
Potentially.
Kim.
We're going to get to it all.
It looks that way. What was your overall takeaway today on day 7?
Overall takeaway, I was surprised. I First of all, I will say David James, the assistant, is hilarious. I think everybody was there were multiple notes of people laughing in the courtroom, which technically you shouldn't be doing, but I couldn't help myself either. I had moments where I was just laughing my head off at just some of the answers that he was giving. Of course, his cross-examination was done by Costco lawyer, as we lovingly call him, Mark Agnifilo, because of his baby oil jokes, or not jokes, but defense that was absolutely ridiculous. After that, we had Cassie's mom. Cassie's mom was not cross-examined. Diddy's team wouldn't do it, which I thought spoke volumes, and definitely learned something new of what she had to go through today. Then we had the Punisher, who was a worker that engaged in some of the FOs. Kind of contradicted himself more than once. Not good. And then we moved into the HSI agent, and this was the agent who was in charge of organizing the Miami raid. And he had kind of just gotten started when the day ended. So lots to go through.
What's a freak-off party? According to David James, it's a term he came to dread while working for Diddy. These weren't typical Hollywood gatherings. James described them as surreal, chaotic, and deeply disturbing. Not only was he expected to coordinate these events, he was allegedly forced to take part in keeping order, often in demeaning, uncomfortable ways. He wasn't just an assistant. He was a handler, a fixer, someone who had to manage VIP guests, cover up scandals on the fly, and respond to Diddy's increasingly bizarre requests, even monitoring private interactions between guests. The emotional toll, James claimed, was unbearable. The parties blended into one another, each one more extreme than the last. And the power dynamics? Clear. Say no, and you faced humiliation or worse. He shared one specific moment, being blamed and berated after escorting a drunk guest out of a party that left him feeling broken, expendable. If the Obama pill was strange, these parties revealed a whole new level of control, excess, and alleged exploitation. But things were about to get even darker. Because according to James, where there were freak-offs, there were also firearms.
The government says that Combs was running his businesses and carrying out illegal activity and using assistants, security guards, and other individuals that work for him to carry out that illegal activity. So he's one of many individuals that previously worked for Combs that we're going to be hearing from. And like you said, who else did we hear from today? We finally heard from Cassie Ventura's mother. It was very brief on the stand, but she talked about taking photos of her daughter in 2011 when she came home to Connecticut for the Christmas holidays, and that she was shocked to see her daughter's body, that she hadn't been aware that her daughter's relationship with Combs had been violent at this point, and that she took those photos to memorialize them. And thankfully for her, she did, because they showed those in court today to the jurors.
Okay, again, just in case I have to trim out that Cassie's mother was talking about the photos she took revealing all the DV that went on with Diddy. She wanted to, take a photo and keep that for herself, as far as, like a day like this coming. She has those photos. As I said before, Cassie told the mother, and the mother knew about that stuff. She just didn't know about the freak-off. But again, I'm just saying this because it might have been chopped out in the video.
Chloe, explain for us how the prosecution plans to use these witnesses to build their case as it relates to the specific charges Diddy is facing here.
So remember, there are 5 charges, like I said, racketeering, conspiracy. So that's where you get the individuals that worked for Combs, whether it was security, personal assistants, chief of staff. We're going to be hearing from a chef who once worked for Combs. Then you have people like Cassie Ventura, you have her mother, you have individuals talking about coercion, force, feeling that there was so much violence in the relationship for some of these women that they couldn't leave, so therefore they were forced to participate in these freak-offs in charge. And remember, if convicted on all, he faces up to life in prison.
All right. NBC's Chloe Malas, thank you.
Then came the chilling part of James's testimony, the guns. He claimed firearms were a regular presence, not locked away, not hidden, but out in the open. One incident in particular stood out. A loaded weapon, sitting visibly in the middle of a private gathering. James said the tension in that room was so thick, he genuinely feared something would go wrong. He never stated outright that threats were made, but the implication was clear. The presence of weapons wasn't about protection, it was about power. Legal analysts immediately flagged this. Even without proof of criminal use, having unsecured firearms around guests and staff could open the door to serious liability, especially if paired with allegations of emotional intimidation and workplace abuse. For James, the message was simple: control through fear. He painted Diddy as a man who thrived on psychological dominance, whether through manipulation, humiliation, or the silent weight of a nearby weapon. The courtroom reportedly went silent during this part of his testimony, because suddenly, the bizarre stories became something more sinister. Still, one question lingered. Where's the proof?
Previously, though, we noticed that some of his family wasn't in the galley. Well, now it turns out again, right? Diddy's sister was there, but his mom and sons were once again not present. Second day in a row. Take that as you will. But David James, his former assistant, came back on the stand as Kim was sitting up. He seemed a little sassy, Kim.
Very.
He did say he didn't witness any violence between Diddy and Cassie. However, he did see a blog post alleging that Combs was physical with Cassie at a club. Diddy searched James's computer history. James had been taking Cassie food at the London hotel that week, but he never saw her. Staff always answered the door. He said
a little suspicious. Right? There's like this report that something's wrong, and then he's delivering food to her at a hotel and doesn't see her for a whole week.
Without a doubt suspicious. Yeah. He then also spoke about this Louis Vuitton bag regularly carrying $10K in cash, sometimes more. In the bag, there were 25 to 30 undisclosed pill bottles. These types you can see, along with Viagra and Tylenol, to increase manhood count and water pills. He later added this one and other E's to the bag and saw
Perky and
Combs.
X.
Yes, X. There you go. He saw Combs taking them. James said he was reimbursed by Bad Boy for the expenses such as medicine and snacks, but for certain supplies such as baby oil, Astroglide, and protection, he was told to be reimbursed by Combs' security staff, who would pay him in cash out of Combs' LV bag. Now, I think this is key, right? This is part of the racketeering, the business empire, how he was constructing where money was coming from, cash money being spent, etc. He testified that Diddy requested him to bring an iPad to the hotel room that they were staying in. When no one answered, he walked into the room to deliver the items, and he saw Cassie in a hotel bed with a man he did not know in the room.
I have to correct myself. I think that was a typo. It technically was an iPod, I believe. I believe we are before the time of the iPad being super popular. That was my mistake. But just to be, to be
iPod, I remember
precise.
Those before the phone and stuff. Yeah, we had to carry our music around in a separate device. Now it's all in one.
Right.
Well, now he saw this other man in a hotel with Cassie, and he said the man was well endowed. Let's go look at that exchange. I'm curious.
It was kind of one of these things, like it was Inner City Press said it, and we kept waiting to hear. We're like, how many of these other outlets are going to say he was well endowed? We didn't hear it, but yes,
with long hair and a large endowment.
And he scurried away.
Did you ask anything? I wasn't hired to ask about their personal affairs.
Nope.
I love it's the correct answer. Did you ever pick? They keep going. All right, well, there'll be some more. I want to go through some of these more sassy responses. Diddy was in the shower. Cassie didn't move. James said he never asked them about it because he did not have conversations with them about their personal affairs. And that's what the job description was. He also claims he was subjected to multiple lie detector tests conducted by former FBI agent due to missing items. He found the experience intimidating and recounted incidents where Combs security searched his belongings after expensive items went missing. Additionally, James revealed that Combs kept footage of him dancing while under the influence at a Diddy party. If I recall this, he said, I'm just going to keep that for later.
Just in case he ever needed something to have on him, he then had it. And that's just unsettling. So it kind of just shows again that this idea of him having something on people seems to be a pattern. And in the grand scheme of things, David did not work for Diddy for an extremely long time. It was about a year and a bit. So I do find it interesting that clearly he was looking for opportunities and he got one and he took it. So kind of sucks. But again, this is also the New Year's Eve party that Cassie always really wanted to go to and apparently never got to because Kim Porter was there. So I understand it's like, okay, so the assistant gets to go, all these people get to go, but she doesn't. I get why it's frustrating.
Is there any hard evidence behind these claims? Or is this trial balanced entirely on the edge of a man's words? That's the question hanging over the courtroom. So far, David James has delivered gripping, disturbing testimony, but with no photos, no documents, and no corroborating witnesses, the case feels fragile. Diddy's legal team hasn't wasted time. They've dismissed James as unreliable, pointing out inconsistencies and questioning why, after years of working for Diddy, he's only speaking up now. Some speculate James has a financial motive. Others argue he stayed out of fear, but without proof, it's all up for interpretation. In one tense courtroom moment, Diddy's attorney directly asked James if he had any proof of the Obama pill bottle. His answer? No. And just like that, the wine. Defense pounced. If there's no evidence, they argued, how can any of this be trusted? Still, James's words, calm but detailed, left a mark. And as more people weigh in, the court of public opinion might matter just as much as the one with a judge. But what happens if that public tide turns?
Today's cross-examination focusing heavily on Ventura's allegation that Combs raped her in 2018 after they had ended their relationship, which he denies. The defense showing text messages between the former couple the day after the alleged rape, including one in which Ventura sent a heart emoji to Combs. Combs' team also trying to poke holes in Ventura's timeline.
That is not the gotcha moment that defense attorneys think it is. I mean, at the end of the day, witnesses are not great on specific dates, particularly when they go back years ago.
The defense also pointing to a text exchange between Ventura and Combs from 2012, in which she wrote, "I don't want to freak off for the last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives." At times today, the defense appeared to struggle to maintain momentum, facing frequent objections by prosecutors and regularly stopping Ventura's questioning to whisper together. Combs appeared to be actively involved, passing his lawyers notes. In a striking exchange with Combs' lawyers, Ventura saying, despite it all, "I don't hate him. I have love for the past and what it was."
We also saw musician Dawn Richard take the stand. She said that she witnessed Combs be violent with Ventura over the course of their relationship. I just want to remind everyone that Combs denies all of the allegations against him. Back to you.
The fallout has already begun. From the Obama pill to freak-off parties and firearms, David James's testimony has cracked the carefully constructed image Diddy spent decades building. Known as a mogul, entrepreneur, and cultural icon, Diddy now faces the biggest threat to his legacy. Not from music rivals or industry critics, but from his own former employee. Social media is in a frenzy. Memes exploded. Hashtags trend by the hour. But behind the jokes, a serious divide has emerged. Some fans have turned away, disturbed by the allegations. Others remain loyal, accusing James of betrayal. But no matter the side, the brand is bleeding. And that brand extends far beyond music. Liquor deals, fashion lines, media partnerships, all of it depends on stability, trust, and image. So far, no major companies have pulled out. But PR experts say it's only a matter of time if more damaging claims surface. In court, one moment revealed just how shaken Diddy might be. While James described a public humiliation during a freak-off party gone wrong, Diddy, usually composed, reportedly gripped the edge of the table, jaw tight. The swagger was gone. Replaced by tension. Because whether or not these allegations lead to convictions, they're already reshaping how Diddy is seen.
I'm glad she said what she said, because that's what I've been talking about, and I was trying to get people to understand. I don't know if people are trolling or not, man, but this is what I'm talking about when you are putting fear into people's heart. Of course, they're going to do whatever you say. So on the outside, it may look consensual, but it's not. These people, these women, and probably some guys too, basically scared for their lives. So again, his team is trying to say consensual when they're saying, no, this is how you get into this stuff, is putting the fear in their heart. They can't leave because they scared what's going to happen. So now they're going to do whatever he's asking, you know, to stay alive, to keep their careers, whatever the case may be. Because like I said, these people were promised things, and then I can take it away from you just like that. You know, I was looking at a comment here. Someone said, trying to figure out why a billionaire would want 20K chump change from the mom, and why would he give it back? Wait, what? 20K? He gave it back because he realized it was a criminal offense. What is that about? Hold on. 20K? I'm trying to look that up. See what this is about. Cassie mother says Sean Diddy Combs demanded $20,000 because her daughter was seeing someone else. Oh, that's what the David James testified? Wait, David James, former assistant Sean Diddy Combs testified. No. Wait, hold on. No, they said I'm sorry, it was just a picture of the David James dude. Okay, hold on. An angry Sean Diddy Combs demanded $20,000 from Cassandra, Cassie Ventura's mother, and threatened to release explicit tapes of his longtime girlfriend after learning she was dating someone else. The mother testified Tuesday at the hip hop mogul's trial. Regina Ventura says she felt physically sick when her daughter sent her an email in late 2011 to say Combs threatened to release videos of her and send someone to hurt her and the man she was seeing, the rapper Kid Cudi. Wow. I didn't understand a lot of it. The tapes threw me off, Ventura told Manhattan Federal Court. Ventura of New London, Connecticut, said she then received a demand from Combs for $20,000. He was angry that he spent money on her and she went with another person, she said. Cudi, whose real name is Scott Muscudi, I can't pronounce that, sorry. Oh, snap! He's gonna testify Thursday, Kid Cudi? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Now, Diddy's legacy stands at a crossroads. For years, he defined cool, power, and reinvention. But this trial threatens to rewrite everything. If the allegations stick, if the stories of pills, parties, and power games hold, then what happens to the empire he built? Fans, artists, and executives alike are watching closely. This isn't just about courtroom drama, it's about legacy. Is this the moment that overshadows everything? Or will this pass, just another scandal in a celebrity-saturated world? Let us know your take in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for continuing coverage as this case unfolds. Because if there's one thing this trial has taught us, it's that the next bombshell is always just one witness away.